Welcome to the today's session on a closed loop system. So till now we have studied about what is a control system and different types of control system. In that we have studied about the open loop control system and the advantages and disadvantages. Here we are going to study about a closed loop system. A control system in which the input is dependent on the output. Here, the closed loop system says that the output does have an effect on the input signal. To convince you, we are going to draw the block diagram of a closed loop system as shown in the figure. Taking an example of heating a room with a closed loop system. So, as we have already studied that the output variable is going to change because of the change in the input variable. Okay, whenever there is a change in the output variable, it needs to be measured and the required value has to be changed. So the required value will be getting in comparison with the input value, and whatever there is an error in the signal is going to trigger the switch, and in turn the controller is going to give the power to the electric wire. So this is how the closed loop system works. So when we are going to see that diagram with our block diagram, so the block diagram representation shows the various variables which are there at the output. That is the controlled variable, then the measuring block, here the comparison element, the controller element, and the plant and the process element. If there is any disturbance in the plant or process variable, the control variable is going to change, which will be measured by the feedback block, and feedback block is going to give its input to the reference variable, that is the comparison element, and comparison element is going to trigger the controller to whether to switch on the plant or off the plant. Let us get much more familiarized with the closed loop controller with the help of an example. Here, to make you convinced that how a real life or a real time output closed loop controller works, I have taken an example of a washing machine. So this is a fully automatic type of a washing machine. So in this washing machine we can see there are various input and output variables, and here we can see there is a control processor. This is a controller where it is going to take the inputs and the outputs. For input we are having the input panel, that is input output ports, through for which we are going to use this touch panel. From the touch panel, the touch key microcomputer gives the signal to the input ports, and we are having the various sensors also. From the sensors we are having the inputs to the ports of the microcontroller. The sensors may be from the water temperature sensor, water pipe sensor, or a weight sensor, lid sensor, or a water drain value also. What is the value and what are the display happening is going to be also displayed on this LCD display, the LCD display. Then from the input ports the processing will be taking place into the processor. Then we are having the PWM controller, that is pulse width modulator, and for the output variables we are having the output drivers, that is the gate drivers, Then these drivers are going to give their signal to the MOSFET, and these are going to go to the output drivers, that is the motors like the blower motor, the drum motor and the heat pump, and their current positions are going to be given as an alarm signal from their positions. So from here the position sensors are again going back into the channels of the microcontroller. So this is a typical example of a closed loop type of a control system which is embedded in case of a fully automatic type of a. Okay, we have seen that closed loop controller is not only meant for domestic application, it has its application in our gasoline engine management system also. So the microcontroller or the ECU unit, electronic control unit, will be the motherboard of this controller. So here in this one we are going to do all the processing work. Then power is supplied through the battery, that is V battery, voltage battery. Power is going to go here. So this will be having the power unit. Then we are having at the outlet, that is the output. These are the output or the controlled variables. What need to be controlled? The injector flow, which is going to inject into the cylinders, the production of spark and a spark plug timing, the EGR valves, the turbocharged valves and the relay, oxygen pump, the cam rotation controllers and the idle controllers, other controllers, or these are the controlled variable. Then we are having the input variable on this side, that is the throttle position, accelerometer, flow meter, battery, temperature, NOx sensors, oxygen sensors, various inputs, right from the crank speed, crank position, all these inputs are going to be getting. So these inputs are measured in the measuring devices and they are fed, and this will happen in closed circuit. So this is a typical example of a gasoline engine management system for a closed loop system. Advantages and disadvantages of a closed loop system. So advantages of closed loop system: they are more accurate and reliable. Response to the environment from them is quite better when compared to a open loop system. Why this is? Because any change in the environment or disturbance are going to be rectified by the correction element as we go there. Preference when disturbances and variations are unpredictable. So if there are many disturbances and there are many variations happening at the output, then there are chances of this one getting changed. So for that reason closed loop systems are more reliable and preferred. Disadvantages of a closed loop system: so it is complicated and difficult to design, as it is mainly designed with the help of the feedback measuring devices. So it becomes a complication in designing, because we require a measuring device to be converting them into one form to another, that is digital form to analog or analog to digital. There it becomes difficult. System becomes unstable because of continuous signal. So whenever there is information of every change in position or time, what happens? The signals get fed into the comparison element, and hence the signals will be overlapping with each other. So the system. Advantages and disadvantages of a closed loop system. Firstly, advantages of a closed loop system. So in a closed loop system, the system is more accurate and reliable. Here we can see the system gives a better response to the change in environment. Whenever there is any disturbances, so those disturbances can be rectified with the help of a measuring device, and preferably those disturbances can be made reduced and we can have a better performance. So when we are finding many disturbances and variations inside the systems, we can switch on to closed loop type of systems, and unpredictable states can be made set right. Disadvantages of a closed loop system. It is complicated and difficult to design, because the need of this design is use of a feedback system. When we are using a feedback system, we require to do the measuring of the output variable. Hence, the measurements are done with the help of sensors. So sensors may be analog, digital, or it may be need will be from converting analog to digital to analog. System becomes unstable because of the continuous signal. As we are providing a continuous feedback from the output variable in the form of a sensors, what will happen? Any small variation in the output variable will make the comparison element to trigger for the controller to go for the next stage. Hence, the system will become very sensitive, or it may turn into be unstable state when there is a small deviation in the output variable. Differences between an open loop and a closed loop system. In an open loop system, any changes in output has no effect on the input. So feedback does not exist. But in case of a closed loop system, change in output affects the input, which is possible because of the use of feedback. Then, in an open loop system, output measurement is not required for operation of the system. But in case of a closed loop system, output measurement is going to be one of the key part. It is necessary. Feedback is absent in a case of a open loop type of a system. Feedback is present in case of a closed loop type of a system. Error is absent in case of a open loop system. Error detector is necessary in case of a closed loop system. So it is accurate and unreliable. Means whenever you are going to have a particular target output, this is more suited, and but if there is a change in output, it cannot be relied. So hence it is unreliable. When compared to open loop, these are highly accurate because of their feedback system and moreover reliable. Okay. Open loop system are highly sensitive to disturbances. Okay. As there are disturbances which are occurring into the system from the external sources, so this will change. There are a possibility that we have to change it often and often. As we are taken care about the disturbances in the case of a closed loop system, hence they are less sensitive to disturbance. So these are some of the differences between an open loop and a closed loop system. After knowing the open loop and a closed loop type of a control system, we should know about the concepts of the feedback type of a control system. In a feedback type of a control system, we are having two types. One is the regulatory type system. Another one is the follow-up type of a system. In a regulatory type of a system, the feedback control system, Here the primary function is to maintain a constant controlled variable at the output. Here the reference variable is frequently changing. So as there is a change in the requirement, what happens, we have to go for changing the position of the reference variable. Example is a room heating system which is shown in the block diagram below. Here the room heating is implied or implemented in a closed chamber. Here you can see the heater supplying the heat inside the room. The actual room temperature is measured here. So whenever there is a input, there is a flow of heat into this one, it is going to increase the temperature. The temperature is getting measured here in the measuring device, and that is entering into the set variable, that is set temperature. So as we are going to get the measured temperature equal to the set temperature, the furnace is going to shut off. So furnace is going to be in off condition. Because of the external disturbance, that is window door is opened, what happens? The outside air is going to enter or heat is going to leak out. So then the temperature here is going to drop. Because of the drop in temperature, what you have to do is we have to measure again the room temperature. The room temperature has reduced. So the reduced room temperature when compared to the set temperature, that is desired temperature, it will be a difference. So the thermostat will trigger or it will actuate and give a commands to the furnace to still further increase the heat, that is input has to increase and the room temperature has to increase. So frequently there is a change in a variable, that is a reference variable. What we require, we have to regulate it. So this type of system mainly we find it in our room fan also, regulator. There we are going to regulate the speed based on the different type of requirement, where you can see very limited people are there, we are keeping it at a small regulated speed. When the population in the room is going to increase or number of people participants entering into room increases, what you are doing, you are regulating it to higher so that more speed is set and you get more flow rate of a fan also. This is what happens in case of a regulator type of a feedback system. Let's see what happens in case of a follow-up type of a system. In a follow-up type of a system, we can see the feedback system reference variable continuously changes and the controlled variable faithfully follows the reference variable. A typical block diagram of a follow-up system is shown here. So here we are taking an example of a lathe tracer system, or in a lathe we are going to go for the profile cutting, profile which is to be cut or a profile follower. So we are having a profile, desired profile in the shape, that one has to be done. So with the help of a tracer head or with a stylus, we are going to actuate the actuating system. The actuating system may be any of the mechanical system or a hydraulic system, that is fed to the cross slide. The cross slide is going to move the tool post and the tool post is going to give us the actual position, and based on the position the tool is going to cut the profile, so on the workpiece. So how the profile is going on or the tool is moving, that is given as a feedback from the feedback signal back to the stylus, and the stylus is going to record. So here there is a continuous follow up of what is happening at the output with respect to the input position. So this type of a system also we find it in case of our JCBs or in a hydraulic system. So let's see how it happens in case of a hydraulic cylinder. So here we can see a typical hydraulic valve. Okay, and we are having the load which is actuating or which is getting actuated. The load is going to be here. Then we are having the end actuator, that is a hydraulic cylinder. Then we are having the set point. The set point is going to be having a different position. The middle position, then it is a forward position, then it is in the reverse position. So these are the position, that is the set point. So the set point here is going to be getting inputs again from the feedback also, the feedback lever. So here this is the feedback lever, the feedback we are going to get. The comparison is going to be done in the comparison element, and after comparing, the output error is going to fed into hydraulic valve. Whenever there is a load acting on this one, or there is a resistance of the load, what will happen? The fluid pressure is going to act on this side because of the load, and fluid is going to go from this port to the valve. The valve is going to change its position from the neutral position, which has to move to this side. So what will happen? The fluid which is present on the other side of the pressure port is going to get compressed, and it is going to push the fluid on the other side of this hydraulic cylinder. The set point is going to change from the neutral position to the forward position because of the load which is happening. So what we have to do? We have to bring back it to position. So the set value has to be brought back, and because of that feedback you are going to get the position to move further, and the valve is coming back to its normal position. This is how a hydraulic cylinder is going to work. Let us know the requirements of an ideal control system, or a design criteria of an ideal control system. So many a times in the examination there are repeatedly the questions that write the requirements of an ideal control system. Very important question, many a times asked in the examination. What are the requirements of an ideal control system? Let us know. The main requirements of ideal control systems are three. Those are stability, accuracy, and speed of response, which are demanded for every control system. Then, why is the need of stability in a control system? Let's take an example of a motor. In a motor, we see that it's running at a certain RPM. To measure that RPM, we use the tachometer. So in the tachometer reading, usually we observe that it is fluctuating from one value to the other value. If we are supposed to run the motor at 300 RPM, when we read it on the tachometer, we see that it is fluctuating from my 295 RPM to somewhere 305 RPM. So it's reaching to that 300 mark, but it is gradually taking its time to reach that one, and reaches a useful value within a reasonable time, and tries to maintain this value as long that value is required. This nature of the system, we call it as a stable system. And if it is not able to retain that value or required value, then that system is not satisfying the stability criteria. Then we call that system as unstable. But to reach that value, we have to give certain inputs. So it has to go from a gradually increasing from a smaller value to a higher value. But the accurate value what is required for the system to reach is 300 RPM. Means the output must be recorded for 300 RPM for a long duration of time, and there should not be any possible variation of the output value. If there is always a variation in the output value from the set value, then we call the system is not accurate. And if this stability and accuracy are reached within a short duration of time, then we call the system is responding quickly. So it is having a quick response. To have a quick response and accurate and have a stability in the system, what we have to do is we have to compensate it. We have to compensate on any of the one demand. So either we have to compensate on stability or on a response or on accuracy. Sometimes we have to compensate on accuracy. We are not bothered about we are getting the 300 rpm. We settle down at 295 rpm. If it is reading 295 rpm for long duration of time also, then we tell yes, it is ideally sufficient for us to take the reading. So to make our system robust and work for a long duration of time, what we require different type of a controller. So to modify the requirements, what we do, we work on the blends of a different type of a controllers. Those we are going to study later after this. So there may be a proportional type of a controller or a differential type of a controller or an integral type of a controller. Okay. So let's recap what we have understood till now. So we have been made to understand the introduction of control engineering, then the concepts of automatic controls, what are open loop and closed loop controllers, advantages of open loop and closed loop controllers, difference between open loop and closed loop control system, concepts of feedbacks, types of feedback systems, and the important one, requirements of ideal control system. So one full question from these two will be asked, and this is the part A of this module. Next we'll start with the part B. Thank you.